Okay, so welcome everybody to our UX working group call. As I mentioned, we have a few updates about the chain registry, and so I would say let's start with that right away. Andrew, can you hear us?
Yeah, so the status of the chain registry is that Andrea onboarded me because he'll be handing off the chain registry um, responsibility to me. Um, we've done some, of course, a little bit of housekeeping, updating dependencies. Um, and right now we're working on getting a more complete list of peers through multiple hops. Currently, you just get the peers from the seed node, and that's it. Um, So there has been a bit of refactoring needed to distinguish between online and last seen node. So that's basically where we're at right now.
Yes, and as I understood, one thing is, for example, that we want to do so the thing is getting in a state yet that we can also run this periodically to see which peers are up and what are the states of the different chains. And we should also decide on the conditions when do we consider, well, nodes or chains to be offline? Do we say, okay, we retry 5 times and then, well,
The retrying logic was just added. So
yes, exactly. I know you just added it, but maybe also here in this call, maybe some people can share their experience from running chains. What is a good, well, a good, hi Sasha. What would be a good value for that? How often shall we retry? So that is interesting. And other than that, we will, I think, set up also a few test trains to test the mechanics next week, but we could also onboard other chains into the registry. That would help a lot.
Cool. Have you had any contact with Map of Zones? Because they were interested in leveraging something like this, right?
Yes, I think Andrea was and is in contact with them, and I think that would be interesting to combine some of the things where we are in touch.
Map of Zones is live right now, so I think that's a good first integration target.
Cool.
Okay. Anything else on chain registry?
I think that's it. If we don't have anybody from the then that's it.
No, I mean NAS. I see NAS, but I don't think NAS has too much insight into this.
I know nothing.
Okay.
I'm just here to observe.
I will ping Dennis again. So for the next call, we have a larger update how the on-chain registry is going. I saw that the specification of the format looked pretty final, and I saw also some announcement that supports supporting this. So that's the state that I have. For Andrew, for the next point, maybe you could also share a little bit. The next thing you were also working on is a tutorial that would help wallet developers to know, well, help them with handling one way to handle multi-chain assets, how to validate assets from one chain to another. How did this go?
yeah, well, so last ICF call, I showed what gRPC calls you need to do to verify the provenance of a IBC asset from a foreign chain. It turns out that Cosm.js was missing some functionality that was part of this. And it was added very recently. And the latest version on NPM does not have this feature yet. I also needed to That is for querying the client state. And then Billy sent me some code to look at from Kepler because apparently they got it done. But the thing is, Kepler did because Cosm.js doesn't have this functionality. Kepler re-implemented it. So yeah, I don't think it's a good idea to re-implement it myself. And besides, it's supposed to be a tutorial. So.
Okay, so but there's the state basically waiting either until Cosm.js. So I saw that you were in touch there with the Cosm.js team, and that already answered to your open issue and found this a good suggestion to add this calls, and they're already working on it. So right now we could release like an intermediate version, how you can do it right now, or wait until it's there, which might be a bit easier.
I mean, I'm not even a TypeScript developer, so I have to learn a language, and then I'm going to write this long article where to do a lot of stuff because it's not the standard library, and then it's going to be outdated. I really don't think so.
Okay. So, I mean, the how-to is in your contract, so you all are going to write that. But I understand your suggestion to want to use the Cosm.js version. Just ping them. I'm sure they can cut the release pretty easily.
We did already. They're aware of it and they're working on it. So
there's also the other issue that it's not really. It's right now all the code that uses relayers basically assumes that the relayer is up and updated, and there is no way to actually know for sure, standard way to check if the light client, the IBC light client has been updated. So yes, there was also another issue about that on Cosmos SDK. There's an issue. What did this guy say?
Well, I don't know, maybe here in this call, we also have some people with some experience about this.
I mean, you'd have to link me to the issue. What you said didn't really give enough context to understand what the problem is.
Basically, Colin said, currently it is difficult to determine if the IBC client is active. I have to actually check that the client myself isn't frozen and that the last updated time associated with its consensus state and its trusting period is not past the latest block time. But that is assuming that I know already that it is a Tendermint chain. Mm-hmm. So, well, there is an issue on IBC Go to create a new status enum for this. It's issue 98 on IBC Go. Modify is frozen to be a status function. I think that is part of it. Yes. So I guess if the light client is not updated, it would be is frozen.
Cool. Maybe you can just block that in as like a to-do for now, and keep it outstanding, link to the issue.
Yeah. And yeah, I think this is good. So, but this would mean that once there's a new release from Cosm.js, if they did the code already, we can also publish the tutorial and just point out that this is work in progress.
Yeah.
Cool.
Sounds great. Good. I mean, if it doesn't work all the way through, we probably don't want to push it to a public audience, but we can kind of hold it in reserve until that's ready to go.
Yes. Okay.
Excellent. Well, anything else on chain registry? Seems like that's pretty much it.
And wallets, no, I think this is currently the state where we are, and I don't know if other participants here have some updates or things they want to share.
So Sam is working on some kind of dApp, multi-sig dApp, and Nas is working on a product, a Tendermint Navigator, which is a wallet for the hub. Maybe either of you, both of you, could just say a word about, just sketch out those projects.
For sure, I can go first, Nas, if that's cool. Yeah, like Sam said, I'm working on a grant-funded multi-sig like wallet application thing that lets people make multi-sigs with pub keys and then generate transactions and broadcast them to the network. And I've been working with the Cosmos.js people to figure out what's missing, and I think they've got most of the functionality in. I think we might need to change one thing to get signing working properly, but I'm going to test that out this week. Yeah, I can send a link to a current like public in progress version if y'all want to see it.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool.
And yeah, one of the big kind of things we're talking about with regard to this project is like conversion of the cryptographic multisigs to using like Amino signing to then using Proto. We'll be using Amino for a while, but this is like one of the last vestiges of Amino in the code base. Nas.
Yeah, so Navigator, which I think the name will be changing soon, so I'm probably going to have to relearn what it's called. But since we're looking for a name that's trademarkable, we can't use Navigator. But for the purpose of this explanation, I'll call it Navigator. It's essentially aiming to be kind of a one-stop shop to access accounts on all chains as a kind of initially what will be just a DeFi platform to give users access to assets on multiple chains, but also as an interface for the upcoming DEX, the Gravity DEX on the Cosmos Hub. And over time, of course, that will expand to offer other DeFi features and services, as well as beyond DeFi, looking at essentially, well, I want to say a marketplace, but more like an app store for decentralized apps. So it will be a kind of interface to the interchain.
Well,
Go ahead. Yep.
No, please. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt.
Yeah. So I mean, my main kind of reason for jumping on this call from time to time is just to see if I can understand where things are heading in terms of the UX for interchain assets, because it's something we have to solve within Navigator, specifically, how to represent assets that don't exist on their native chain. We're limiting assets to single hop assets. So if you have an asset that might exist on a chain that's 2, 3, 4 hops away from its native chain, we would offer functionality which is called redeeming, which would essentially transfer that asset back to its origin chain, back through the path that it originally went through, in order to arrive eventually at its destination of its origin. The challenge, of course, being that that requires many signing events from the user. So it's not ideal, at least for this initial implementation. The user will have to sit potentially with Kepler or their ledger and sign many transactions in order to redeem a token fully. So there's a lot of interesting UX problems to solve from the user-facing side with all of these new paradigms.
Well, yeah, really interesting.
Have you looked at the fee grants stuff? I feel like that might help you out.
No. Where can I find that?
In the SDK. It's going to be in. It should be in the next release. And yeah, it allows you to delegate fee responsibilities to another party.
Awesome. Yeah, I'll admit my understanding of the tech side of things is still quite limited, so I'm trying to brush up there. But Gauthier, who's leading the project here at Tendermint, he's obviously much more clued up on the abilities of the SDK. So I'm hoping that's on his radar. He suggested that our strategy for handling fees, given that fees have to be paid on each chain, is that instead of making the user pay the fees, we're going to try to pay the fees on behalf of the user wherever we can, and we'll essentially take the equivalent value in Atom to compensate.
Yeah, the fee grants will help you pretty significally, because then you can do all the signing on behalf of the user once they've delegated.
Yeah. So as far as I understand, that's the goal for kind of V1. But for MVP, it's certainly going to be the case that we won't have that functionality out the box. So there will be a short period of time where everybody hates us for having to sign transaction multiple times. But yeah, it sounds exactly what Gauthier had proposed. So I'm assuming he's aware. But I'll put it on his radar if he's not.
Cool. And so your decision to stick to single hop assets, is this something you generally see it will be like that, or maybe also something changed in the future to work with this redeem?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I'm not entirely sure what Gauthier's long-term plans were for the support of multi-hop assets, but I know that certainly for the short to medium term, at least the foreseeable future, the incentive behind limiting it to single hop assets was to vastly simplify the user experience. Given that we're trying, rather than trying to kind of be a platform that enables every possible thing possible, we would kind of adopt more of an opinionated approach to simplify the UX on the user's behalf for the 99% of cases we anticipate users coming across. Inevitably, if somebody as a power user wants to, for whatever reason, create a multi-hop asset, then that's something that our platform may not support. But it's it's certainly not the target user we're addressing initially.
The chain name service will also simplify things greatly. So I don't think it really makes sense to have multi-hop until you have that resource available.
Sure.
Yeah, cool. No, I'm just asking because I think, the thing you're facing, also other projects in the ecosystem are facing it. So I'm curious why you decided for that, and if this will be kind of the best practice, or how people will do it, working with the redeem function, and basically stay with single hop assets. Okay, well, thank you very much. Super interesting.
Nice.
Okay. Sam, any news to to Sam's now? Vernon, Sam, do you have other news from the ecosystem?
News from the ecosystem.
I would just say for the work that Naz is doing at Agoric, we've been working with other wallets as well on how to read and work with the assets in Agoric. So we've had some of these discussions with MetaMask and other partners. So it might be good to sync with you guys when the chance presents itself.
Yeah,
that's great.
Absolutely.
Cool.
You've been a part of one or two of these, Vanessa, but there is a website that's housing some of these notes that the Ape Unit team is working on, and then there's also the CIIP repo that I think has some good discussion threads on this.
Okay, I clicked on the ones in the calendar invite, and the notes hadn't been updated for like 2 weeks. So if you could let me know where they are, that'd be great.
Ape Unit, do you
Okay.
know where the meeting notes from the last 2 weeks are?
Okay, yeah, there should be. They're not. I will update after this call. The date will be there. Sorry.
Cool.
All
right.
Okay.
Anybody else have something to add? Otherwise, we can wrap early.
Otherwise, I would say, good. So then for the next meeting, I think we plan to talk a little bit about scaffolding tools. I mean, mostly, of course, I said already, I will reach out to Dennis about Starport, but are there any other suggestions or projects that we should invite for scaffolding?
The only ones that would be relevant would probably be something related to Solidity, now that we have Ethermint kind of on deck, and those would be like native Solidity tools. There isn't really anything else in the ecosystem for Cosm Wasm or any of the other frameworks at the moment. So Starport's kind of it. I mean, there is the now depreciated tool that Starport kind of superseded, and I don't think it's relevant to talk about that scaffold tool.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I mean, we could also look a little bit at the state and maybe also see what's missing. I think that might be probably also interesting, and well, maybe also some people want to grab some of the things or feel inspired to build some of the parts that are not there yet. So cool. Then let's do it like this, and I'll see if I can get hold of Dennis for the next call.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you very much, and talk to you in 2 weeks.
Thank
See you later,
you.
guys.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.